Hello everyone. I think this is movie 4 or something, or 5. This is the point in time where I just want to take a step back and say, hold on, if this is just blowing you away with the complexity of what I'm doing, let's think about some alternatives. And it's an opportunity to self-congratulate a job well done so far. As you can see, I've got the hull underway. I'm getting this combing completed. We've got a sail. All of the rudders and the props at the stern are done. I've got this pump that fits into the back of the ballast tank, and whereas here actually is the ballast tank. This part from here to here holds 1.25 litres. There's the piston section, and here is the end cap for the motors. Motors aren't in, but this framework continues here. That holds the servos and holds the peristaltic pump for the trim tanks. Now, obviously, this boat's bloody complicated. I'm not resiling from that. I like the fact that it's complicated, and I've made it like this. I've got 3 ballast systems, as you're aware. To sail a boat with a pump-in, pump-out ballast tank, a piston inside it, and trim tanks, using manual control is actually quite complex. It takes a bit of time to learn how to do that. I've found that putting the Arduino in to program a whole lot of stuff and to depth keep and to put routines in has been brilliant, and it works exceptionally well. If that's a bridge too far though, take a step back and think, okay, all I want is a pump-in, pump-out ballast tank, for example, in the middle. You can follow everything I'm doing and just do that. You don't have to put an Arduino in. You don't need depth keeping, you don't need routines, you don't need all of those things. So a more simple version of this would be a pump-in, pump-out tank in the middle. The thing to do is to make sure that when the tank is full, the boat's still on the surface. So no matter whatever happens, it will bob to the surface, and you can pump out the water and up it comes. That's one thing. What you need to do with that though is put a pump in to do that, and I'm making one. You can buy other pumps, and I'll just, you can see on the screen now this bow thruster pump. That may work or may not. I'm not really sure about that. Someone might want to try that. The thing is, the pump that I use alongside the what I'm calling the subtech valve works magically. You could not, you might want to avoid doing both of those, and you could put in a geared pump that doesn't let water through, or you could put in a peristaltic pump. The problem with those pumps is that they're slower. But you might want to do that, and it's a nice, easy answer, and you'll be able to empty the tank, fill the tank, and that should all be fairly simple. So that's another option. You could just go for a simpler method. You might want to do away with the depth keeping. You might just want to have control of the stern planes and control it from those. So there's ways of doing this which can simplify the process quite a lot, and you might want to do that. Other things in here, like using a LiPo battery and brushed motors, and you can buy your props, you can buy the motor kits. There's a link on the page at the moment for a place, for example, where you can buy these things. A self-leveling device is really important, and you can buy those from a range of different places. I'd never ever have a sub without one, although I've noticed some advice recently which says it's a good idea to get a boat, get it working without a self-leveling device first, and then you put the device in. With my system here, it's all about trimming, and once it's trimmed, I know it's fine, so I'm not really worried about that. But you see, there's simpler ways of skinning the cat, and I would suggest that you go down that track. Obviously, I'm crafting this hull using carbog and fiberglass and perspex and aluminium flashing and balsa and all sorts of things, and I've got the sander out, and it gets a bit messy sometimes. I haven't got any excuses for that either. That's what I like to do. It's a very fulfilling thing, although you really have to have a shower a couple of times when you get to the really awful sanding bits. That's on the other hand. What I've discovered here with these lovely straight combings, and I've made those out of 2mm perspex, well, the problem with it is you can see right through it, so you can barely see it. I'm going to have to paint it before I go much further so that it actually looks like a combing. but it's very nice to bend when you put a bit of heat on it, and it holds the shape, which is really very nice, and that's going to be a lovely little thing to do around the stern. That's going to be fun. I've discovered that actually fairly recently, so that's an interesting thing. So you see, there are different ways of achieving this outcome. I'm also going to say, if you didn't want to make the Nautilus, there's any number of models around, and you can buy hulls and you can put the stuff in yourself. You can buy everything actually, but you need the dollars if you're going to do that. Doing it my way is fairly cheap. This boat, when it's up and running, is going to cost me about 600 Australian bucks, and they're rubbish dollars. So that's pretty good, but I'm making everything, believe me. As you will see, I hum away, I get the lathe going and this and that. It's a funny thing, I haven't done the sums yet, but I think if you were to make this and buy everything that I'm making on the lathe, I don't think there'll be much difference in price between you making everything on the lathe and buying the lathe and making this. So there you go. That's sort of what it's like. So they're just some suggestions, and I might comment more as the build goes on and things become more obvious about what could be changed and what could be made more simple. I'm not doing simple though. Anyway, I'm having fun.